Hey everybody, today we're going to take a look at the recent purchase I made. Well, recent, I showed off in another video briefly. It's a 7-inch metal cutting horizontal bandsaw from MSC. It's under the Turn Pro brand. Taiwanese shit. It's it's just a rebadge something or other. There's probably 100 of these different things out there. I'm sure Grizzly sells one, Jet sells one. They all tend to do that, but this is a little bit different than like what you can even get from like Harbor Freight, say. We used to have a little 4x6. It was better than nothing, but this has been a huge upgrade. That said, I had to make some tweaks to it to make it work for what I actually needed it for. Bought this from a buddy of mine, JT. He had picked it up I think 3 years ago, and recently made an upgrade to a 30-foot long dual, and probably actually about 15 foot, but it's a huge dual. Didn't need it anymore. It was just tripping him, so bought it from him for the same $500 he paid for it. Things from like 2000, looks like 5 is when it was manufactured. So 11 years old. It looks like it's only had light use. This is a swiveling, what do I want to say, a mitering bandsaw. So the base stays solid in place, and usually, like a little 4x6s and a lot of bandsaws, you actually rotate the material rest. You actually rotate the backstop. Not on this. On this, you actually rotate the head around the table. There's a ring down here that rotates around. So I'll show how that works here in just a minute. First, just a couple things I upgraded. You can barely see it there in the corner, but there's a weight that I bolted onto it. I need to go a little bit heavier. JT had warned me this thing gets a little vibration in it from time to time. The head is just kind of lightweight, so to damp down some of the vibrations, needs a weight out there. Probably going to go to a little bit bigger weight, and at the same time tension up the spring a little bit on the back so it's easier for me to lift it. Lifting it's a little bit of a challenge. The coolant pump was bad. One of the big reasons I went with this saw was it has liquid coolant. The coolant pump was bad, so I bought another like pond, the little like pond or fountain, just little pumps they sell on Amazon. I think I paid $9 for it. Worked really well. I actually kind of wish I would have bought one that had a lower flow rate, because I had to crank down the valve to not get a lot of spray. I'm using, I actually don't see the bottle of it. I'm using some stuff, I'll put a link down below. I bought it off Amazon. Again, I'm an affiliate now, so if you buy from my link down below, I actually make like 50 cents or a nickel or something off it. But if you don't need it, don't buy from it. Just if you're gonna buy it, I appreciate if you click that link. But anyway, it's a water soluble oil. So you mix it, I think it was 5 parts water to 1 part of that. I could be wrong. But it was just called Slugger. I remember that now, it's called Slugger. But anyway, the coolant's nice, especially when you're cutting part after part after part. The blade starts to heat up, and especially the aluminum really starts to gum up. So what all upgrades have been done other than that? The vice jaws, they stop 2.5 inches short of the blade. For a lot of the things I cut, that's a big friggin' problem. I can't cut anything smaller than like 6 inches where I don't have enough grip on it to cut the damn thing. So I used 2 aluminum plates, just cut a piece, I think it was 5.5 or 6 inch, 3/4 inch thick aluminum that I had, and let me turn around here. So this has a weird release. The vise moves freely, which I thought was broken when I first got it. But that's actually a feature, which is really nice for opening and closing the jaws. Can't really tell well on the camera, it's coming through, but just threaded 2 holes in the And this plate, I only did one on this side because it doesn't have anything pulling on it, so it was just easier to install with one. That way if I need to remove it, I can. Then just did a couple little steel toe clamps that I made for it, and it just clamps around the existing vice jaw. So I didn't actually have to modify the saw at all to do these, and I run that right beside the saw blade. And then down here I have just a piece of plastic. For my last video I did that King Starboard stuff. It's another piece of that, and it filled the gap between the blade and the cast bed here, because again there was a 1/2 inch gap between the bed and the blade, which I'm sure helped parts fall, but it also made it so there was no support for really short pieces of material. And again, that's primarily what I cut. Today I'm actually going to show you just doing some miter cuts on some steel, but most of the time I'm actually doing aluminum in small pieces. I'm going to chuck up on my little mill, so I need to do short, small pieces. What do I want to call it? The part stop. The bar for the part stop was ridiculously long, and after about the third time of catching it with my arm on the way by, I said to hell with this, unscrewed it, threw it in the bandsaw itself, lopped it off so it's even with the edge now, and then I just built a little quick slide stop. Just got a little quick clamp on there, and man, you can set the stop. Nice to have when you're making a lot of pieces that are exactly the same. Other than that, I haven't done any other upgrades, but I put a new blade on it. The one that was on was pre-worn. Yeah, I'm trying to think. Oh, so when I got it, it didn't pivot. The turn part didn't work. JT had never done that. He mainly was lopping off chunks to throw in his mill too. So he didn't have a reason to do miters. So he never even tried it. And it was bound up solid. It would not budge. So we took out, there's a little stopper here that, there's a couple detent holes, I think 30, 45, and 0 is the 3 holes that it has. We unscrewed that, sprayed in a bunch of brake free, sprayed brake free all the way around the top and the bottom. There's also a screw on the back side that clamps it tight, because this just kind of locates you in the general neighborhood, and the back one locks it in tight. Let it sit for probably 24 hours, maybe 2 days. And came back and I don't remember exactly where we propped it, but put like a fireman's bar through the back side here where we could really get a good solid leverage on the casting and not break anything, and just kind of put some force on it, and once it popped loose, it really freed up. So I'm just going to make sure to keep that lubed. It moves really easy now, and from looking online it sounds like it's actually a problem with these particular style mitering bandsaws is they bind up after a while, because I don't think a lot of people use that feature. This one of the things that really annoyed me about the 4x6 was the downward control. It just was gravity, and there was a spring, and that was it. This one's got the spring on the back side to help you lift it, but then it has a damper on the front to actually control the speed that it lowers. Little knob here that you turn in and out to change the speed, and a quick quarter turn flip valve to lock it up. So when it's turned counterclockwise, which is counterintuitive, you lift it up and it stays. 3-speed gearbox, not belt drive. I can't change belts myself. This has got a big detent ball in the back, so it's kind of a bitch to pop from gear to gear, but I can do it. You do it with it running, but not under any load. Yeah, I've been running mostly in 1. Sometimes when I cut aluminum, I pop it to 2. 3 seems like it's hauling ass. So yeah, so that's the machine itself. The switch box is kind of redonkulous. It's got the emergency stop, then the a turn knob for the coolant, then an on and an off under some rubber covers so they're liquid tight. It's kind of dumb, but it works. I never hit the off because it has an auto off feature. As soon as it cuts the piece, it turns off. I haven't hit that. I don't know why you need that and an emergency stop. If you got to stop it, you hit the damn emergency stop way faster than the other one. But anyway, that's what it is. Like I said, I paid $10 for the pump, so I leave the coolant on all the time. And when I don't need it, I kill the valve up here. I don't bother with this switch because I can't turn the damn thing. So for $10, I'll take a chance that I burn up the pump at some point. So yeah, that's the saw itself. I'll show you how I lift it and how I rotate it now. This thing's heavy as hell too. I don't see a weight on it, but it doesn't move. When I bump into it, it moves me. So before I can rotate it, because I extended those jaws out, if I rotate it right now, the blade actually starts to hit that backside material immediately, or the backside of the vise. So I have to lift it up, and this is something I'm still working on. I need to put a handle on or something to lift it, because this thing is not light, and you can see how much flex. I gotta get some of that out of there too. It's got a ton of play. You gotta lift about an inch higher than you want it to stay. And I haven't quite figured out, it doesn't seem like it's all in one place. It seems like a little bit comes out of 2 or 3 pins, maybe a little bit out of a couple of brackets. So yeah, getting that play out there will make my life easier. I'm also not in the position I'm normally in when I lift it, because I'm trying to let you all see on the camera. I gotta get this all the way up. Whew, I might walk for a second. There's 2 threaded holes right here. I'm considering putting some kind of handle there, but I haven't figured out what yet. So for now, I just struggle with it. Okay, so there we go. Got it up high enough. I already pulled this plunger out. If you pull it and turn, there's a pin that has to be lined up for it to actually go in. So it's pulled and turned right now. So I'm free to turn the material stop is doing a cover. I'm just gonna pull it out of the way. So if you watch, the bed stays stationary. This little black thing is on the ring that rotates. So when I grab up here, I actually can rotate it around and come to the other side where I actually push a little better. And on the back side here, I don't know if you can tell on the camera, but right, let me point the screwdriver. The indicator on the degree ring is right under this plate, the little red arrow. You can't see the damn thing. It took me like 15 minutes to find it today. So the other thing you can do is I'm beyond 30 degrees, but I'm not to 45. So I can rotate that towards the pin is dropped into its little pocket. And now when I get to 45, that'll drop into a detent hole. Bam. Now, I'm somewhere 45, 47 degrees. It has a little bit of play at this point. Let me see if I can show you that. All right, I'm back. Knew I needed to silence the goddamn phone. I forgot. So back onto the play. There's actually very, very little. I mean, I can't actually see it move. For what I'm doing some chamfer cuts on steel that I'm going to weld. I'm going to be clamping them or holding them with a 90-degree magnet. this is quite frankly good enough. I'm going to try to get the backside handle. I may or may not actually get it. It's one of those things that's like not really convenient for a cripple. And I don't know, anyway, I can get the camera in here at an angle you can see this, but stretching all I can to get my arm in here, and it's not easy. So it is a lever handle, which is nice for cripple paws, but there we go. It's snug. It's not super tight, but it's in there. Now, one thing you'll notice, so when this comes down, that blade now does clear. I already checked this. See how slow that's going? I have control of it. I can speed it right up. So you can see that's just clearing the corner of that extended vice jaw. But then there's a big gap, 3 inches, 2.5 anyway, between the blade and the back jaw, the movable jaw of the vise. So cutting a miter on a short piece of stock is still going to be a problem. I don't really have a reason that I need to cut short stock at a miter on a regular basis, so worst case I throw something like that into the chop saw. Usually on my short pieces, it's usually to cut square cuts to throw in the mill, like I said earlier. So I'm going to take a break right now. I'm going to grab a piece of steel, throw it in here. I'll probably going to do that on another video actually, so y'all can see how I grab a 3-foot length of steel and get it in the saw. But that can be a short little clip for a different video. I'll come back with the steel up in the saw, and so one thing I'm going to say before that, I mentioned the way that the vise basically gets free. Right now, just slides right back and forth. You crank this, nothing happens. You got to pull back. You pull back, that latches it. It's hard to do no material in there to hold it. That latches it into the nut, and it actually tightens up. So it's really nice. You smack it to break it loose, pull it away from your material. Makes it easy to pull your material out when you're done cutting. Slide it up tight in the material. Pull this, turn it around or two, and bam, you're tightening back up your material. So really nice for jumping between sizes. You don't have to crank it way out, way in. Another nice part about a non-miter or about a mitering bandsaw versus a standard horizontal bandsaw. On a standard horizontal bandsaw, when you turn that back stop of the vise, you had to back this movable jaw way the hell up just to fit your material in, just to allow you to turn that to 45 degrees. And one of the big problems for me in this shop is I can't move the saw. So right now my material, I put it in and it sticks straight through no matter what angle I'm cutting it. With my old 4x6, if I wanted to do a miter cut, I had to turn that back, the solid jaw of the vise, 45 degrees. Now my material is not going out straight, it's coming out at a 45 out the back. Well, I don't have a huge shop. That was a big problem. It was constantly, getting in the way. And that little saw, I just slam into it with my chair and turn it a different way and get the material to clear. But it was always a pain in the balls. So, yeah, that was one of the reasons I wanted this kind of a saw. Looked into getting an Ellis. John Saunders on NYC CNC, he's got one. Shout out to John. There's wherever a card ends up on one of these. I'll put a card into his Ellis bandsaw video. Nice saws, really nice saws, American made, really nice saws. They come up at auction here in Colorado every once in a while. Not cheap. They're even at auction you're looking at probably $1,500, $2,000, but really nice saws. Not liquid cooled was one big issue they had, and the price was the other. This thing just was the right price at the right time. I wouldn't pay the $2,000 that they cost new, $2,000 plus freight. But definitely the used market, I think that they're worth their money. I'll make my 500 bucks plus out of this, just in blade life, not killing blades like I did on the 4x6. I've yet to pop a blade off on this one, and the 4x6 I pop blades frequently. And I can't put the blade back on myself. Like all these things that I can't do myself, the more prepared I can be to have that not happen, the better. So yeah, I haven't had any issues with this trying to slip it off a pulley at all. So yeah, I'll throw a piece of material in here. I'll be right back, and we'll make a cut. So picking up a piece of steel, 30 inches long, 2x3, 11 gauge. This thing probably weighs, I don't know, 15 pounds, probably about 6 pounds. Not really that heavy, but I keep them behind, kind of tucked behind my other material rest, because I have a whole bunch of these little short pieces. About 20 years, well, I guess been heard 18, it's probably about 16 years ago. My parents acquired me this, and I don't even know where they bought the thing, but I didn't show this off in my stick video. Check out the card above for the stick video. This thing it's basically got like a size of an old car speaker magnet on the bottom. It's extendable, but I have crimped it so it doesn't extend anymore. It's powerful. You don't want to accidentally get it covered in metal shavings because it's like impossible to clean off. But you can see the end of this piece of steel here. I drop it down on, it's on there. I got a 2-fist it set up onto my cask. As long as you keep that magnet flat on there, look, Ma, no hands. It's solid. You can lift a lot of weight, and then all I have to do to take it off is give it a lean. It's got an aluminum housing around the magnet. So that's how I pick up steel. That's how I can pick up an 8-foot, a 1x1. I can pick up round stocks a little harder because it doesn't make as much contact area. But for square and rectangular, this thing is the bomb. I don't know where it came from though. But if anybody knows that, throw a link down below, because yeah, these are nice. And I hope it never breaks because I've had to make one, and this one works. So yeah, that's how I get up the material. And once I get up to that point, it's, you know, I just kind of double fist it, one on each side, like clamp it, give it a tip, and then just slide across my lap. Ta-dee-ta-da, it's done. One thing I should mention is working with steel sucks. I just bloodied my own knuckle. I bleed bad after I've worked with steel. I got cuts all over my hands. I like working with aluminum. I don't really care for working with steel, but this project requires steel, so I'm doing it. So we'll load it into the saw and we'll make a cut. All right, got the steel loaded. Now, as I was showing you earlier, the nice about these easily moved jaws is I can slide my material in, and right now I'm not going to care about the fact that it's tipping back onto my bench back there. All I'm going to do on these is just 45 the end. I want to keep it as long as I can. But I slide that in tight. Come back here. Give that a yank back. Oops, excellent. Get it in again. Give it a yank back, and then I could feel it grab a thread. That's tight. That piece of material is tight. I actually got to loosen it up so I can get it sit flat in there. Loosen it up. I'm probably going to put something on the bench behind it it's the same exact level as the bed, but haven't quite decided what I'm doing there yet. I'm actually going to go ahead and pull a little bit farther than I need back this way, and then I'm going to go and drop the blade. Gotta slow that down a bit. Now this is probably not the best thing on the blade, but I go ahead and let the blade just drop and rest. And that levels my material for me, but I don't have enough sticking out. So this is a lot easier to do on a straight cut because you know where you're going to end up. Know your cut line's got to be. Because when we're on the bench, you give it a little shove. These are more of the 2" by 3" 11 gauge steel that I picked up a few months ago. Used it to build a stand for the mill, stand for the Sakai lathe. It's turned out to be some handy dandy stuff. So looking there. Just gonna cut a little bit more than I want. Like you said, I'm trying to get as long as I can. They're 29 3/4. I would have actually liked 32 inches for what I'm cutting, but this is just a prototype. These will work. 32 or 36 would actually been better. And in the long run, if this project goes forward, then that's probably what I'll switch to. So it looks like it's gonna. Yeah, this is going to cut perfect. So I'll go ahead and tighten that in again. Oops. Put that back down. So now the blade's sitting right on the material. Grab that. Getting used to how this jaw tightens up is interesting. There we go. Tighten down. Now I'm actually going to go ahead and put my material stock on here because I'm going to make more of these. Bringing it up. Slide it in tight. And then just a quick cam lock to lock it. Now, as I mentioned, I set that blade right down on there to figure out where I want my cut and to hold it horizontal across the bed. So before I start it, I gotta lift it up just a little bit. That way it starts free. Come over. It's gonna get loud here for a minute, but hang with me. It's hard to reach within this miter position. Yep. I'd rather have my safety glasses on. Alright, before we start cutting, get these. There we go. That's a little safer. Keep my eyes. So right now the coolant is on, but the valve isn't open. I'm just going to crack this valve. Right now it's got a ball valve in it. I want to put a needle valve in just so I can control the flow. Because right now it's hard to just get a little bit of the coolant. I'm going to make sure it's going plenty slow. Oh, that's going to be an issue. With this saw in the miter position, it's dripping fluid on my floor behind here. It runs down the blade and comes out the back of the blade guard. I'm gonna have to decide what to do. I have a rag on the bench behind here. You can just see in the back corner of the video on the left side of the screen. If I'm taking out a piece, the fluid actually goes through the tube and drips onto that table, so I have to keep a rag on there. Yeah, I don't know what I'm going to do about it dripping on the floor. I'm going to put a bucket down. For now, I'm just going to kill the fluid. That's making a hell of a mess. So. Well, I'm not sure why that just stopped. We're going to learn together here. Does it think it's... Oh. Here's one for you. The automatic shut-off switch on this, on like the 4x7s, there's like a little tab up here on this end that hits a toggle switch and turns it off. On this one, it's right back by the hinge, and there's a bolt head that hits a momentary push button switch. The cord for the saw, when I turned it 45 degrees, fell between the head of the bolt and that little switch. So I'm going to tilt the head back up, pull the cord out, fire it up, we'll drop it back in. This is where the hydraulic hold is nice. As I flip the lever, attempt to lift the saw. There we go, lift the saw. See how I can reach in here. The cord is wrapped around. Reach here with this. Fix that little problem. Now, hit the button back on again. Yeah. Luckily, I got some big old monkey arms. Chatter there. I'm just kissing the edge on this end of the cut. I think it's just skipping the diesel blade a little bit. Yeah, if anybody has some thoughts on how to control that chatter when I get it, I think I'm just going to put bigger weight up here. A lot of it's just that this whole mitering head just has enough flexibility to it and not enough mass that it just starts to vibrate. If anybody's got any other ideas, I'd love to hear them because it's irritating and I think really hard on blade life. So. And there we go, chamfered cut. Go ahead and put the lock valve back on. I haven't ruled out putting in a block and tackle or a linear actuator or something to lift this damn thing, but there you go. Nice 45-degree chamfer. Miter, I guess is what you call them when you're doing this shit, not doing machining, but got a miter on there. Gonna flip it, miter the other side. I've got to put together a couple or total of 4 of these, and a total of 8 of these for 2 sides for a stand, and then weld them up. So thanks for watching. Again, as I said earlier, these saws are sold under a lot of different brand names. For what I needed, and again, this comes down to what you need. This thing's got all the power I'm probably ever going to need. It's got longer blade, which helps keep from kicking off. It's also a taller blade. It's 3/4 instead of half. The mitering feature is big for me because I can't be rearranging my shop when I want to cut a 45 on something. The coolant's nice. It's also kind of a pain in the ass because, as I mentioned, it's spraying all over my floor. And it's oily. Like the stuff I'm using in there, it has a weird feeling. So yeah, overall, real happy with the saw for what I paid. For 500 bucks, damn good buy. Again, wouldn't pay $2 grand for it. Not many things I would pay $2 grand for. I'm cheap. But yeah, this thing has been great so far. And again, when I was talking about like the mash, you can see when I just smack that, it vibrates. And I think some of that is because of the mitering function and stuff, that they end up getting a little more flexibility and just a little more room to move around. So there's pros and cons. Just depends on your setup. But for me, for now, probably for a long time, this saw is going to do the job for me. And it came with the stuff to use as a vertical, but you've seen the vertical bandsaw. Why would I set this thing up? And yeah, maybe as a selling feature, I don't get why most people would use that. Unless you have like a little 4x6 in your little home shop and you just use it as a hobby, then that's probably fine. But I don't have time to set it all up. I don't have the ability to set most of that stuff up. I like hitting a switch and jumping on the saw and just running with it. So yeah, stoked with this saw. I'm glad JT sold to me for what he paid for it. And yeah, hopefully I get a lot of years use out of it. Thanks for watching.